Hey everybody! Alright, well today we're going to take a look at something that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to go and open this up. This is a full-size replica of the M4 robot that was seen in the original series Star Trek episode Requiem for Methuselah. It was a fantastic episode from season 3. Originally I didn't really care for that episode, but as I've seen it over the years, I've gotten much more appreciation for it. But one of the cool props that was in that episode is this robot, and he's called M4. And so there's a gentleman named 3D Trekker. He goes by the name 3D Trekker on eBay and on Etsy. Oh, this is cool. Let's take a look here. And he makes all kinds of cool stuff, like as you can see here. I've already bought quite a few things from him. This might be a little dark. He makes a full-size Nomad, which I do have the full-size Nomad. I did a whole video about that. You can check that out if you like. He makes the Planet Killer from the Doomsday Machine episode. He makes all these cool little things for like figures of Star Trek. So he's a very good guy. I've bought several things from him, and so I'm quite impressed with his work. So when I saw that he was making a full-size M4, well, I just had to get in on that because I have his full-size Nomad, and so seeing how good that was, I wasn't going to pass this up. Okay, right off the bat, this is really cool. So this is the center ring that goes on, let me make sure I'm in camera here. So this center ring, this goes in the middle of the M4 unit. So he's got like this little ring kind of thing. And I think it's clear, he may offer two different versions of this, I'm not sure, but we'll take a look. Yeah, and also, I don't know if this is full size. Now the Nomad was just a little under full size. Ooh, okay, oh, this is neat. Oh, very, very cool. Oh, there's some lighting right here. I hope I'm still in camera, sorry, yeah, okay, so there's a little bit of lighting right here. I gotta see how that works. This is very nice. Now there's going to be a little scuffing on here, unfortunately, and that's from, it's been really hot, and I was afraid of this. Having this shipped in hot weather, the little peanuts kind of stuck to the paint. I might be able to kind of touch that up a little bit. So this is already a built model. Well, he's got some nice stuff going on. Oh, look at that. So there's a light strip in there, and then you got the vents in here. Oh, we got some other parts in here too. Oh my gosh. Okay, well let me see. You know what? Let me take all this out and we'll take a look at all the parts because there's a lot to go through. Okay, here are all the parts out of here. There was a lot of parts to this, more than I had realized. And also, he did a great job of packing all of this. Very nicely done. Everything was nice and bubble wrapped and safe and everything. Alright, so where should we start? Let's go ahead and start with these big pieces. This piece here, we got a little glimpse of this earlier. This is the bottom half of M4 here, and you can see how he's got the nice little the strip lighting in here. That's perfect. And then we got these nice lenses in here for those little vents that were on the side of M4. So here's what he looks like on the outside. So in the episode, you know what? I'll show you some clips from the episode and talk about the episode a little bit, so you can kind of see what he looked like in the episode. But you can see here that the light's going to come through here. And the chrome paint that he uses on this is really nice. You can see it on the upper half there. Beautifully done. Now I did have a little bit of scuffing here, and that was due to it's been really hot here lately, and unfortunately some of the bubble wrap kind of stuck to this, and so, but it's not a big deal. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find out what paint he uses for this, and I can just kind of sand that out and repaint that real quick and kind of mask this area off. It's an easy fix. Alright, then we got the upper half here. Look at how beautiful that looks. Very, very nice. Big round chunk here. Here's the inside. Now I do think that, oh, you'll notice there's some magnets here too. That's how it connects to that piece over there. Now I do think this is slightly smaller than actual size, and that's probably due to the fact that he's using the same parts from Nomad. He makes the full-size Nomad, which I have as well from him. This piece, and that piece were all from Nomad. So in the show, you know, they had a lot of budgetary constraints by the third season, so they were just making props from existing stuff. So they unfortunately took Nomad apart and used parts of him to make M4. So since the Nomad kit that 3D Trekker makes is slightly smaller than actual size, this will be too. But I'm fine with it because it's not very much of a difference, and and most people wouldn't even notice. So on this piece here now, you'll notice that there are these little magnets, and that's for these pieces right here. So he gives you these great options on which light covers you want to use. And you'll see there's a magnet here. Most of the time you saw M4, he had these white lights on here, and they just kind of lit up like that. But when he went into protection mode, his light suddenly turned red. And so now, using the same lights inside, all you got to do is change these lenses. Look how quick and easy that is. So you can turn them into protection mode. That's very good. That's ingenious, and I think that was an excellent solution to that. That was really well done. Here we have some of the parts that are going to make up the top and the bottom. So let me see. I'm trying to figure out where everything goes. Well, let's start with the head. This is the head that was on Nomad. Originally, the Nomad head was this piece, and what they did is they took out the little antennas that he had, and they put in these little light things. They kind of look retro style. Now this does have the circuitry for the lights, and you'll plug that into, I think, somewhere over here. I'm not sure. I got to figure all this out. I haven't put it all together, but everything's plug and play, which is great. And these little things will light up just like they did in the episode. You'll notice also there's some magnets here, and that is for, let's see, this piece. This is actually the bottom of M4. Look at this beautiful chrome paint he uses. I love it. So there's magnets here that will match up to those magnets. Now you'll plug it in right here. This is wall powered. This is going to go on top, and that's going to go right on here, and that little plug is going to be right there, so you can plug it in just like that. Very, very cool. So nice and easy. I love that. Okay, and then we have, this is going to be the top part of M4. Now this was also the top of Nomad as well. Originally, this piece originally on Nomad went right here like this. That was how that looked. Okay, so now this one here, this piece is going to go underneath this. So that's going to fit on here like that. And I do think I'm going to end up gluing those together. I think he left that unattached so that if you want, you can put lights in the top section here, but I don't think there was lights on the top part, which is this piece right here. This lit up. This was part of Nomad originally too. This went on the top of his head up here, and these lit up. That was where his little phasers came out, but on M4, I think they were just part of the decoration. So this is going to go on here like this, and then this little stem here, another nicely made piece, nice and chrome painted, that's going to go right up on here. See, so that's how the top of M4 looks, like that, and then this whole thing is going to go on top of this. So it's all stackable, looks great, I love it, love it. Everything works really, really good. Let's see, this piece here, this big ring. So we got this kind of frosted looking 3D printed ring. That goes on the outside of this. Goes around here. And then the top half, can't do this one-handed, but the top half is going to go on top, and he's got this little ring on here, so M4 had that little ring in the middle. So that's really cool that he made that easy to attach, and that's going to be held in by the magnets. And then we have this really nice stand. He comes with a stand. This thing here is really heavy. This has got some weight to it. Very significant weighted stand right here. And you're going to screw together all these legs. And then once you get all the legs, and it's adjustable, you can make them as tall as you want. And then that's going to go into here. So this will be the bottom of him. So the top pole, I'm assuming it's the one that doesn't have the threads coming out. That's going to go inside here. And that's how he's going to be displayed. Wow. This is amazing. This is so amazing. I love it. Oh, I forgot to mention, let's see, this piece. I am going to have to repaint this because, unfortunately, like I mentioned, the heat during shipping, the bubble wrap really did a number on this. You can see how the bubble wrap stuck to this. So I just emailed 3D Tracker and asked him what kind of paint he uses, and I'm going to just repaint this. So I'll just mask off these little window things here, and then I'll probably sand these out, and then just respray it with some chrome. And if he doesn't respond, I'm going to just go to the automotive store and see if I can find some nice chrome paint. So, I mean, it's an easy fix, thank goodness. And this is certainly not his fault. He can't help it that it's really hot out there, so I'm not surprised that that happened. But yeah, easy enough to fix. Okay, let's see. I think I'll try to repair that and then try to hook everything up, and then we'll see how he all looks. I forgot to mention he also provides the adapter. So this is a brand new adapter. It comes in a little white box here. Not sure if that's the specs, but yeah, just to plug it in and then plug this in. Perfect. Oh, this is so cool. All right, let's look at some clips from the episode. So in the episode, this is the first time we get introduced to M4, and he's in protect mode. So you'll notice that the lights are red. You'll also notice the sound effect he makes. So there's kind of like a ticking sound, which is the same sound effect, the same ticking sound that Nomad made, but he's got more like that little chiming sound as well. Now you'll see he looks exactly like the model, which is very cool. And also you'll notice how the lights are red on the upper part of him. We'll see a close-up of him here. So, okay, right there. So you can see how the lights up in this section right here, those are red. So he obviously has phasers. We get a good close-up of him here, and you'll notice that when he's in protect mode, not only is that light red, but these lights in the grills, they flash at the same time. See how they're just blinking?
Do not kill.
And there you can kind of tell he's on some kind of like a track or something. You'll also notice that when he's not in kill mode, the lights in the little vents here, they start kind of randomly flashing in behind there. And kind of like how Nomad had his in his little grill area. See how they're just kind of flashing? So they had those blinker bulbs in there back in those days, the ones that just kind of random blinks to it. And these ones down at the bottom, they continue to randomly blink even when he's in kill mode. I was noticing that in most of the scenes, or maybe all of them, the lights in this section right here, those little round ones, they're not actually lit unless he's in kill mode. And maybe they're lit later on. I'll have to check. Also, the lights in the grills do continue to flash, as well as the ones down here at the bottom. And he also has this gripper on the bottom that's holding the right talon right there. And you'll see him actually drop it off right here, which is pretty interesting. I wonder how they pulled that off. Okay, so I did repair this now. So I sanded down all the little bubble wrap marks on here, and then I put some primer on it. I just used some Tamiya primer. And then after that, I went to AutoZone and found this paint. This is Duplicolor Perfect Match Universal Chrome, and it's very nice. It's a very nice chrome. And it sprays on really good. Just takes forever to dry. I have this sitting in front of a fan all day long, and it's pretty dry now, just ever so slightly tacky here. So yeah, I went ahead and masked these off so we can take these off now, so that those are going to stay like the little lenses, like that. So that turned out very nice. Okay, so that looks really good. So thank goodness I was able to make that look better now. Okay, so I've been really struggling on what to do about the lighting here. So the way that he has the lighting set up is actually pretty good. I mean, if you wanted to use this, you pretty much can, and there's parts about it that I like and parts that I don't like. So for instance, here I got this hooked up. You can see it plugged in here. It comes with this switch. So let me turn this on. Now you can see it really lights this up very nice in here. This whole thing is lit really good, and then if you look at the side vents here, look at that. They light up great. But the problem is in the show, these are blinking. They got those blinking lights behind here, and with this, these are only solidly lit. So I kind of want these to blink in here. Now on this part, look how good this looks. Look how good these lights look. So and what I like is that they blink random. So here, let me turn this light down a bit so we can kind of look at it a little better. So see how they're randomly blinking? It's kind of like how they looked in the show. They use those blinker bulbs. Now this is LEDs, but to get that random effect is cool. They're not just following like a pattern, like it goes from this, 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 and then just keeps going in a circle pattern. These are blinking differently. In fact, when you first turn them on, they're all lit at the same time, and then the blinking is random. So there's probably resistors on those. So I do want to keep this. I want to keep that the way it is. But here inside, see, it's hard to get inside there. And if you wanted to replace these bulbs, it would be really hard to reach in here and try to get where those LEDs go if you wanted to do something different with it. Because this thing is in the way. It doesn't look like this comes out. This might have been, it's a little loose, so it might have been something that was glued in later. I really don't know, because I don't know how else he would have put that on here, unless this was in two pieces. I'm not really sure. So I want to leave this the way it is, but the problem is I want to change what's going on in here. So I think what I'm going to end up doing, I ordered some Christmas lights, and I ended up using those on Nomad as well for his blinking grill lights. And so I'm going to have to figure out how to do this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a piece of round foam board that's going to separate this lower section where these vents are, and then I'm going to block out the lights down here. And that way I don't have any lights from this showing on here. And then I'll put the blinking Christmas lights down here in each of the vents to give that the blinking effect. I'll leave these exposed so that when I put the upper half on, the little lights that are on the side of the upper dome, these will light up. So that way they'll show through like that. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. Just kind of, separate those two sections, and then maybe that'll work. Well, anyway, I'll try it anyway. Okay, so I just got these Christmas lights in, and this is one of those ones that has multi-level of lighting effects. I'm just going to use the one that's called In Wave. There's way more lights on here than I'm ever going to need, but they were only $10, so, hey, what the heck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue these lights right up against the this screening right in here, and they'll show through just perfect. This is exactly what I did with Nomad. Now Nomad had 5 light bulbs in here. I didn't really get a chance to figure out how many lights they put in here, so I'll put several. That way we got a nice look, and I'll do it on each of these little windows here. So the plan is, once I get these glued in, I'm going to take this piece. Now I made this piece out of foam board, so I cut these notches out to go around the magnets here, all around there, and of course the center. So now I got this strip lighting off. It was no easy task because they were hot glued in there, and plus these were really super sticky on the back here, so I just took strips of paper and just stuck it to the sticky tape that's on there. That way I can grip this without having it get sticky everywhere. So I'm going to put this through this hole like this, and then try to be careful with this. Alright, and then I'm going to have it go like this. So now let me match up where those holes are for the magnets. Alright, so that's going to go in here, and then this is going to sit in here a little bit, a little ways. Let's see if I can get it on here right. Okay, and I'm going to push this down. This worked better in rehearsal. Alright, let me see. Okay, there we go. So it's going to fit in there. I don't have it completely straight, but I'll straighten it out. Okay, so now that provides a shelf for me to put the battery pack for those flashing lights. But and also this segregates the light down at the bottom for the blinkers, and then the really bright ones up here, these are not going to shine down into where the blinking lights are. That way it doesn't ever interfere with those. And I'll just hot glue this entire strip like in a circular pattern like this. And then when the upper half goes on here, these will show through those little round lights that are on there. And then I'll bring the wire for the blinking lights up here, and then I'll put the control box. I'll just probably hot glue this in place somewhere around here. And then whenever I want to turn on these lights, I'll just take the top half of M4 off, because it's really easy to do that. Now we got these holes, of course, and there's going to be lights coming through there, and I don't want that to happen. So I just cut these little pieces of foam board like this. I'm just going to put these on each one of these corners, and I'll hot glue those in place. Kind of round it off this each side so that it kind of goes around this, conforms around that, just like that. And then that'll keep the light from coming through at all. And then somewhere in here I'll bring out the cord for the blinking lights. We have all this gap in here, so I'm just going to take these bits of foam board that I had when I was cutting the circumference of this whole section here, and I'll just hot glue these around the edge. Oop, one fell in there, but you get the idea here. It'll block all that out. And then I'll hot glue the entire rim, and then I'll probably put some black paint on that hot glue so that no light goes in there. So it'll be completely separated. The lights will be completely separated. So I think that's it for this step. So let me get all that done, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get that all complete. Alright, so I got all the lights glued in place. I put 5 on each lens area, just like that, and it looks really good. See how it looks on the other side here. Gives it that nice blinking light effect. So it's exactly how I did Nomad. And then the remaining lights, I just took a tube from a paper towel roll, and I just crammed all the lights in there, and then just glued these ends on, and then just hot glued the ends, and then I tried to paint some of that just to kind of make sure there's no light bleed. And then the extra lights that were kind of in between, I just wrapped them in blue tape and then put some hot glue in there just to kind of make sure that it stays sealed up in there, and that way there's no light bleed. I don't think it would really be seen all that much, but you never know. In the dark it probably would really be noticeable. I'm not really sure, but I think that looks really good. Alright, well, on to the next step. Okay, so I think I have gotten this whole section done now. So we can see how this all looks. So the tape, the LED tape, I just glued it down in this pattern. It's just in this round kind of pattern, and then that's going to light up those lights on the top. I put those little blocks around here and then put some hot glue in there and just painted it black to light block all of that. And then same with all around the edge here. Put hot glue all the way around and then painted it black so that there's no light bleed, because I tested it out and you can see just a little bit of light coming through down here on these vents. But I think you can mostly see it in the dark. And then here's the battery pack for the blinking lights down below. These are it's just Velcroed on like that, just a little piece of Velcro. So I can take the top off and turn this on. You have to push it twice to get to the light effect. I wish this had just a simple on and off, because you have to click it twice to get to the one called, what is that called? In wave. But then you have to click it to all of these until you can get to the off. I wish it just had a simple on-off. That would be much easier. But yeah, I think we're ready to go. I went ahead and glued all of these parts right here. That's all glued together. So now I think all I got to do now is just stack all these parts and get them all put together. Put them on the stand over there. Kind of got it going. I'm not sure how tall I'm going to make that yet. But anyway, I should have them all together on this next segment. Okay, here it is now, all complete. This thing is huge. It's huge. Yes. This definitely takes up a lot of room. Now, it's so tall, and I even have one extra of these pole pieces left. I didn't make it as tall as it could be, but you can see that's how it goes on the stand. You can see how absolutely fantastic this looks. Now, I'm going to turn off the lights because we're not getting the full effect here. So let me turn these down, and that way we can kind of see what's going on here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yes, very, very. Oh, yeah, you know what? That looks really cool. It's the first time I'm looking at it in the dark. Wow, that's cool. That's really neat. Okay, so these lights down here, they look like they're blue, but they're white. It's just the way my camera's trying to focus in on those. So I'm really glad that I stuck with the circuit that 3D Trekker does provide with this, because I really like this blinking effect. Like I said, it's very random. So you can see it on the other side here. Let me turn this around. Here's the other one on this side. So they all kind of just blink at a different rate right there. It's very cool. So it plugs into the bottom, and that's for the main lights. And then of course for these ones, you saw that I used those Christmas lights, and those work just fine. You can see the nice blinking effect that's going on in there. It's probably getting washed out a little bit. Let me see if I get closer. You can kind of see it. It looks really good in person. It's hard to film something like this. But oh yeah, and he's tall. I mean, he or it, it's so tall, it's past my backdrop right there. And like I said, so there was one more of these posts. I think there's I think there's 4 of these total. And so you can adjust this for as tall as you want. If you don't want it this tall, you don't have to have it this tall. I will say that you have to have this on a good solid floor, because I had it on just the bare carpet down here, and it was about ready to fall over. So I had to lay this piece of wood down there to give it a more solid flooring. Oh man, this is so cool. This is so, so cool. Oh my gosh. So let me turn around this way. So you can see how this ring kind of lights up a little bit. I don't know if it did that in the show. It was sometimes hard to tell what was lit. It was sometimes hard to tell if these were lit because, you know, the studio lights were really bright. Back in those days, they had to overlight the studios because the cameras were so slow that they had to overlight them. Nowadays, you know, you don't need to do that. You can really see the lighting effect in there right now. It's kind of interesting how we're getting that reflection on there, and even the reflection looks blue, even those are white. Let me see if I can zoom in enough that we can see what the real color is. See, now you can see it's white. Those look really cool. They're kind of like those retro, they kind of remind me of those insulators that are on telephone poles. That's what it kind of reminds me of. He's got a little bit of retro to him. This is very neat. He looks like a pressure cooker, doesn't he? Especially that part right there. It's like a big old pot. This is so awesome. This is just absolutely awesome. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it turns very nicely on the stand. But it's heavy. It's a very heavy piece when it's done. So not only is the stand heavy, but the model itself is heavy. So as previously mentioned, if you want to change this out to attack mode, you just take that off. You can see the inside there. See what's going on in there now. It's kind of interesting. I haven't looked in there before. That strip lighting works perfect for lighting all this up. Then we can take one of these red ones, put it on here. Ooh, that looks good. Kind of like that red. So in the episode, as I was showing you those clips, when he goes into attack mode, now this, instead of having these random lights blinking in here, they just kind of flash all at once. And so it's interesting how that changes. These ones continue to blink randomly, but the lights do change. And it was interesting that the prop people made that kind of a change. At that point in the show, you know, you would think the budget wouldn't really allow for such detail, but they actually did it. And then when he went back to the regular mode, where the lights were white up here, then these were back to randomly flashing. So it's very interesting that that the prop guys put that kind of a detail into that piece. And here it is with all these lights turned to the red. Looks very cool. I can't decide if I want to keep these red or if I want to keep them the white. I think it looks cooler with the red, but the problem is I don't like it to look mean. You know, I mean, I don't want it to look like a mean thing, but it's very neat. The red does add just a little bit of color to it, which is pretty cool. So, you know, as I mentioned, you know, the show, they just reused parts for Nomad. You know, it's kind of a shame they did that because it would have been cool if Nomad survived. That's such an iconic prop from the original series. And then they decided to take parts of it and turn it into this, which, you know, I understand because they didn't have a lot of money. So this was probably, the Nomad prop was laying around. They probably decided, hey, let's just switch things up. So the head that was Nomad, flip it upside down, add this little piece at the bottom, and then just continue using the same top piece. And instead of having that other interesting antenna up there, they just put this kind of piece up there. And then later on, I don't know if it was after this episode, but it was used again in an episode where it became the cloaking device, the Romulan cloaking device. And so at that point, I think they were still using this head, and I think this whole thing still looked the same down here. I don't know if they used any of this. I'd have to take a look at that prop. But 3D Trekker is who made this, and he is on Etsy and eBay. I think he makes the cloaking device as well. If you want a full-size cloaking device, he'll make that. And I think the ball, it's pretty much the same thing, except for the ball, I think, is molded in clear, probably the same material as the ring right here. So yeah, it's very cool. Oh man, I love this. This is awesome. This is the first time I've ever seen anybody make one of these, and especially a full-size one, which is just absolutely amazing. Also from 3D Trekker, I bought this smaller version of M4 as well. So you can see it's like a small version of him. Exactly the same, just in smaller scale, and you can also change out those lenses on this one as well. Very cool, and you could probably light this if you want to, because there's space inside to light up those vents. If you are so inclined to light this little guy up, you could do that. Oh man, that's just too awesome. And another thing that I got from 3D Trekker is, if you'll recall, when I was building this Nomad that he makes this entire kit as well. And I did a full video on this. If you want to check it out, you most certainly are welcome to do so. But one thing the kit didn't come with were these little dishes on his antennas. I had to make my own using googly eyes, like the clear dome part of it. But then I found out, thanks to Trekworks, the YouTube channel Trekworks, shout out to Boyd, great channel. I've been watching him for years and years, but he let me know that 3D Trekker makes these things now. I don't know if he did before and he just forgot to give me a set of these. I don't know. But you just glue them onto the antennas and they can stretch. You can have those come out just like Nomad did. They look really, really good. You just glue them to the end of the antenna right there. So these are 3D printed as well. So yeah, very grateful to 3D Trekker for making this for me, or giving me a set of these. Very cool. So if you're a huge Star Trek fan of, well, any of the Star Treks, but in particular the original series, and you've always wanted an M4, you can now get one of these guys. Somebody makes them, and there's probably files out there too. Maybe you can print your own if you got a printer. I don't have one because I don't have the facilities for one, but 3D Trekker is who made this, and I bought a lot of things from him. Now, I got to tell you, these are not cheap. They're very, very expensive. I paid $700 for this. And I know just by saying that, a lot of you probably just fainted to the floor, but it's like, you know, there's a lot of stuff. When I got this, I was amazed at how many parts this came with. I thought it was a much more simple thing than it was. The other thing is, this was the one this one is already painted. I'm sure you can probably contact 3D Trekker and ask him if he can just send you the parts, probably more in a raw form. He probably did a lot of work on this where he maybe filled in the print lines and whatever kind of technique he uses, and then of course he painted everything. So all you got to do is pretty much stack the parts, and you can just use the electronics that he provides, and he does provide all of that, all the lighting, the plug-in, the adapter, which is way down here. So he'll provide all of that with, and the stand. It comes with the stand. There's a lot of stuff to this kit. When you get it, you realize why it costs so much, but this is really, really cool. So if you want to get a raw one, I'm sure he'll send it to you. You might be able to save a few bucks, but I just went ahead and got the one that he already painted, because I don't think he had one that was available as a, you know, like an unpainted version. But I'm fine with it because the color choices that he uses are very good. If I turn up the lights right here again, you can kind of see that this gray is very much like the gray that was used on the original prop and also Nomad. I think they just kept the same color. And also the nice silver that he uses on here looks really good. All of that looks great. So yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I ended up working on this way longer than I thought I was going to. I ended up working on this for like 3 days, but it was worth it. This is so cool. Now the big question is, where in the heck am I going to put this? I have no idea where I'm going to put this. I have such little amount of room in my house, and I just keep buying these big, huge things. I just can't help it. This is so cool. This is so cool. All right, well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I very much appreciate it. And until the next video, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.